Divas! Hope you're all fierce. Welcome to The Performer's Path, the podcast where we delve into the highs and lows of the performance industry and beyond. If it's using your creative juices for onstage, in auditions, or those in-between jobs, we discuss it all with real people in the industry who've been there and got the t-shirt as a gift. By discussing audition rejections and success, we're taking away the fear of the unknown, whilst also giving vital tips for success. So let's tread the boards together in this week's episode. In episode 2 of BOSH Management, we're talking about their career journey and the beginning of the agency.
I stayed there for 2 years. I had the best time on those ships. Then I flew to Germany and I got Chicago in Germany. I remember texting you going, I've got text here. How do I do this? And I remember in the audition, it was Ralph, and he was like, has Alison Hughes helped you with this? And I was like, yes, she did. He was like, I know Alison very, very well. And I was like, this might be my ticket in. Anyway, I got the job and I loved it in Germany. Those listeners, if you're thinking about it, go and do at least one contract because they look after you really, really well. The shows are incredible. There's a lot of money put into the production and into the self-care. It's one of the best productions that I've been looked after as an actor by far, only closely followed maybe by Cam and Mac. Then I went back to the cruise ships and did Cats. And then I hung my cruise ship boots up and tried to make it on land. I then went into Mary Poppins International Tour, came back from Mary Poppins. I only had one thing on my mind, which was go and get Matilda. That was my dream.
Oh.
And then I went in and I got Matilda. It was crazy. It was like the breakdown went out and they were like, we need a Rodolfo who's 5'10", brown hair, can sing, do a bit of ballroom dancing, and he's basically called Bryan. Like the breakdown was so perfect. And I remember calling my agent, like, I need to be in this room.
Yeah.
So I stayed in Matilda for 3 years with the COVID hiatus in the middle. And then Back to the Future came around and the same thing. I was like, this is my next show. I have to be in the show. And every single boy in my dressing room at Matilda had an audition apart from me. Bear in mind, I'm already working for the same casting director. David Greenwood is casting Matilda, and now he's casting Back to the Future. My agent's calling, and they're going, we don't want to see him. And I'm like, this is crazy. But that is what this industry is like. You can't assume anything. Anyway, my last throw of the dice, which is a little bit arrogant now that I look back, I called my agent again and I said, look, if you get me in that room, I will book this job. But I can't do it if I'm not there. You have to get me in this room.
How is that arrogant?
That is the typical performer's mindset. There's that thin line between self-belief and arrogance.
So
and
what is the difference?
There isn't one, but anybody else would go, wow, your self-belief is amazing. But as the self-inflicting person, you would go, that's arrogant. And that's the difference.
Crazy.
Yeah, it is. And 12 years in this industry, it still hasn't changed.
And you're still thinking that, even though you've thought it through and gone, no, it wasn't arrogance, actually. But you're still saying, well, looking back, it was arrogant.
Yeah.
Crazy.
It's mentally tough, this industry, but if you can guide yourself correctly, at times you'll falter like that. But as long as you can go, no, come back to this lane, you'll be all right. So I got the audition. He was like, they want you at 10 a.m. tomorrow. I was like, of course I do. Went in, I think it was 7 rounds with cover material, and they were like, we want to look at you for swing, so we're going to teach this number and then we want you to reverse it because that's what is going to happen in the show. I was like, yep, can do that, because everything that happened was left and right, left and right, left and right. So we were drilled to be able to do that quickly. And then I went on a cruise ship for a week, went on holiday, and I was in Aruba by myself, and I thought, I'm just going to turn my data on quickly. And there it was, I got the offer. I left 5 weeks ago.
What's next?
Next, I'm going to be on stage swing cover Igor in Young Frankenstein, which is coming to Hope Mill, Manchester, and then we do a month in Liverpool over Christmas.
Oh, I'll see you there.
Yeah, nice and close. Yeah, close to home, finally.
Yeah. So, Josh, what about you?
Well, I think one thing I've just got to say is that just listening to Bryan just list off a whole CV of glistening credits always like fills me with like such pride. Like he works his ass off.
I agree.
So yeah, I feel like I've always sort of been in masses of admiration of Bryan. He's always been there for me throughout, all these years that have gone by since, through Hammond as well, but all the years up till now, he's always been so supportive of me and everything I've done. He's always been like massive cheerleader, and he's just been fantastic little sort of coach from the sideline, sort of cheer me on. But
and the least arrogant person, let's face it.
Yeah, but from Hammond, I bought a tiny little cruise ship company, which I still love to this day. It was fantastic. I went to work for Mirage Productions on Fred Olsen. It was my first job, so I had no idea what to expect.
Yeah.
But oh my God, my eyes were opened to the world. I traveled. I did work it out once. I think it was something like 56 different countries in the span of 6 months. So I just went everywhere.
Wow.
Um, God knows how many shows I learned. Hundreds of shows. I haven't got a clue. We just learned masses of material, which was so useful for me because another sort of pitfall of mine was my pickup speed was crap. Absolute crap. So that really, really helped and it really trained my brain in a way.
Right. So a lot of students find that as well. But
Mm.
even people who are out there at the moment, what tips could you give people for that?
Honestly, it's just practice. Just keep doing it and don't give up. Don't walk out the room. Don't get in a huff. Don't get in a strop. Keep battling because it's that point of battle at the top of the bar in your brain. That's where the improvement happens. So that's what I'd say there. But from that job, I auditioned for what was I auditioning for? I think it was Universal Studios in like Japan or Singapore or something. I didn't really know what to expect for it. They wanted me to be like a werewolf or something. But there was another director there who was piggybacking the auditions, and I got offered this other job that was happening in Singapore, and I didn't know what it was. It was called Project X. But what it really was a new musical that we're putting together called Lightseeker. It was over in Singapore. It was commissioned by the Singaporean government, and it was going into this massive theatre they have in one of the casinos there. And it was opposite Universal Studios Singapore, the theme park. So it was right there. And this thing was huge. We had about 55 cast members, and they were made up of dancers, acrobats, specialist performers, musical theatre performers, and that's where I fell in, by the way, just some
I was
average
like,
dude.
acrobat?
Like
Nah.
but I was playing the role of a little magical forest imp. So it was literally a typecast for me. It was perfect. But there was a couple of these little magical imps. We could all do like cartwheels and flips and stuff. But I was the dopey one, basically. So I was the one who was the stupid comedy one. But out there, I learned so much. There was a coach there who was like ex Cirque du Soleil or something, training us up on all these different pieces of equipment, these apparatus bits and bob for aerial stuff. So, and actually, we didn't know what the show was going to be. We workshopped it for 2 months. They didn't really know what they wanted the imps to sort of do. So they taught us loads of stuff and then they just picked what was the funniest or what was the best. So I learned how to do trampoline, tramp wall. I learned how to do 2 point bungee, 1 point bungee, Spanish web, and loop work. It was crazy what they had me doing.
Was it
Um,
quite frightening though?
Oh, yeah, but I was loving it. I was loving it. When I look back, I get regret of how ungrateful I was to be there because they rehearsed us to death. We did nothing but rehearse for the entire contract because everything needed to be changed. It was constantly at work. But when I look back, it was just marvelous. Singapore is a beautiful country. It's so safe. I would genuinely move there in a heartbeat if I could. It's expensive, but it is gorgeous out there. Yeah, so but that was Singapore and Lightseeker, which was incredible. I met some wonderful people. I've got loads of Australian mates now who I still sort of keep in touch with. And then from that, what the hell did I do after that? Oh, because I'd worked on all the aerial bits and kit and stuff, and I was watching Bryan, I was like, he's working for Royal Caribbean. That's what I want to do that. I want to do that. So I wrote off to Patrick Mullaney, actually, with all my video submissions and whatever. And he said, oh, I think you'd be quite a good aerialist. Could you film the following things? The stuff they had me filming, I have never been so fit in my life. I was doing hundreds of pull-ups, these over-the-top bluebirdy things I've never done. Honest to God, my core strength was through the roof. But anyway,
Can you do it now?
no, I'm fat and old now. But I did that job. I did a tiny little cruise ship for Royal Caribbean for a bit. And then I was watching Bryan's career develop, and he was out in Germany doing Chicago. And I thought, oh my God, I'd love to do that. I'd never be a Chicago boy, though. That's not me. I'm not 6'4". I'm not this. I'm not that. I'll never get it. I'll never get it. Never get it. Bryan's texted me saying, come to the next auditions. I was like, you know what? It can't hurt. I'll go to Berlin. Worst comes to worst, I'm just going to have a massive 2 litre Stein of wheat beer, and that'll be the weekend. So I booked that job. I honestly don't know how I did, but I did. When they called me, they're like, "Oh, can you also come early to come and replace someone?" I was like, "Oh yeah, I'll come do that." So actually, weirdly, throughout our entire careers, Bryan and I did actually have one scheduled show together of Chicago in the Palladium Theatre in Stuttgart. So that was
Oh,
nice. That was wonderful. I don't think he would be able to handle any more of me working with him. He'd probably want to kill me by the end. So Yeah, so did that. Then I went back to work for Royal Caribbean. I did Greece for them. Then I did We Will Rock You sort of back to back. Then I did Lightseeker. We did a tour of Korea, which was interesting and freezing at the same time. And also Murderous, that choreography was so intense by Matt Cole and Gary Lee. And then after that, I was really fortunate to land the job with the National Theatre's Peter Pan. That was really, really special.
Wow.
To work with a director like Sally Cookson, who is Google her right now. It's fantastic the work that she does. That show felt really, really special to sort of be part of that creative process and to swing on that job as well to all the Lost Boys and all the pirates. And I was a giant crocodile puppet, and there was more aerial work in that as well. So just a little bit for everybody. Definitely have a look at adding aerial to your string of work. If you can find the money and find some good classes, have a look at something like My Aerial Home or Flying Fantastic if you make it down to London. There's some really great classes on in there, and you can really top up your income from some of the aerial work. Yeah, so did that. What the hell did I do after that? Then I think there was a bit of COVID, I think. Then I went back to Royal to do We Will Rock You for one last time. And then I booked Charlie the Chocolate Factory. I did the UK tour version, but I only did the Leeds leg, which was, I know, I only did Leeds. Yeah, so after that, I decided it is definitely time for me to finish and focus on what I'm working on in the agency and do a little bit of extra teaching, and I do a little bit of choreography work as well. So that is me sort of in a nutshell. I feel like I've rammed on for ages, so I'll sort of wrap up there. I won't bore anyone any longer.
So talk to us about the agency. Why did that start? How did it start, Bryan?
So one gap that we noticed in the industry was everyone does workshops, but nobody holds a workshop with people that could actually be influential. So I called Josh one day and I was like, I've got an idea. Let's hold a workshop company where we get the choreographer or the casting director or the director direct from the company. Me teaching you Revolting Children is great, but I can't offer you a job. So let's get the people that can. Josh replied with, "You're crazy." He was like, let's go for it. Let's see what happens. So we started the intensive. The first year ran in COVID, which was super, super difficult. We had to space everybody specifically. We had to draw a line to keep the creatives away from the performers. We had to send people on their timed lunch break. It was insane. But we somehow did it and we sold out the course. And we were getting people like Bill Deemer, Nick Winston. We had Sally come in. We had Stephen Mear. And just having those names made everyone else go, oh, what is this company? They're getting the big dogs in.
All right, that's it for another episode. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. And wherever you are on your performer's path, stay safe and sane, and let your creative light shine bright on whatever you do.